All right. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Suited Kings podcast.
Shut up, Wes.
Shut up. You know what, dude?
What, dude?
I knew there was something up with you today. God.
Hey, happy 30th birthday last week.
Hey, thank you. Yeah, we had a lot of fun. You were, you got out there. You didn't quite stay till the end,
I pulled an
but
old man on you, Wes. Let's be real. I stayed for about an hour and a half, and I was out the door.
yeah, that's all right. We had a fun time. I had a group of friends. We did like a dinner thing at the Hewing Hotel. We had a private space booked out for a couple hours and then had some drinks. And then we went to a couple bars afterwards and it was a fun night. So,
Yeah, man. And yeah, I'm sure it was a fun next couple of days considering how many drinks I heard you had. Wes and I and our ladies went and got brunch 2 days later, and he still looked like shit.
I was up very late. I, after that, my, a few of the friends came up. So my girlfriend and I stayed at the hotel.
Yep.
And we had a few friends come up to the rooftop hotel or the rooftop like hot tub at the hotel. And we were up quite late. And
What a great
yeah,
time, though. Honestly, that's pretty sweet. I had to wake up at 7 a.m., so I was out of there by like 9:30. It
yeah.
was cool though. I mean, you rented out that whole front area, right, the front of the
Mhm.
hotel. Like, so we got this whole private space with like a buffet. It was with good food. That was awesome, man. So I really enjoyed that. But this is not a Life of West podcast, is it?
Well, it is for a little bit, you
Okay,
know.
I'll give you the first 5 minutes, but
Yeah.
um,
Anyways, so yeah, I'm 30 now, and now we actually have a brand new type of episode today.
we
So
do, we do. And before we get into that type of episode, let's discuss last night's meetup game.
let's do that. So for those who don't know, Max had won 3 of the first 4 tournaments from our meetup games. And boy, am I happy to say that he stone bubbled this one.
Oh man, I tried so hard to stone. So we had 28 entries. It was like 550 sweeps coins up top.
Yeah, biggest field yet by
It was our
far.
biggest field yet. Nice juicy turnout. 28 entries, 4 pay. There's 5 left. Wes and I are still in the mix. Wes was the shortest stack. He jams button for what was it, 12 or 13 bigs or something like that. The
Well, there
pocket
were
threes hand.
two. Yeah, there were 2 times I doubled up through you on the stone bubble. Um, the first time you tried to slow roll me with ace queen,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I had king nine suited, and I spiked a king on the flop and held. And then the second time I had like 12 or 13 bigs, and
Yep.
then I
You jam
jammed
button with threes. I called off with king nine suited and whiffed.
king eight suited,
King eight suited, yeah. And whiffed. And then all of a sudden I had 4 bigs.
and then
Um,
you got in with 10-9 suited, I think, against
yeah.
ace 10.
Yeah. There's no ICM in the meetup game when it comes to busting West. Like I just bubbling. So there's two kind of reasons why I called off with king eight of hearts there. First off, is you had a $50 bounty on your head. I had already knocked you out in the tournament. So this was your second bullet.
Mhm.
And if I knocked you out again, I didn't have to pay out $50 to nobody. But lo and behold, you doubled up, and then I busted, and then congrats to Bovada Degen, Mr. Tyler, for knocking you out and getting that $50 bounty on your head. So congrats to him. And then secondly, congrats to Daniel Kennedy, aka Francis Xavier, for shipping the meetup game for 550 and getting that sweet Discord tag. Again, our biggest meetup game yet, and hoping. I mean, let's just keep
Yeah.
doing this every 2 weeks.
Yeah. What's his name on clubs again?
His name on clubs is Mona Lisa something.
Yeah.
That's right. I
Okay.
call him Francis Xavier. That's his global name. Mona Lisa, whatever it is. So he ended up shipping it. Congrats to him. Congrats to Jessica Anderson, who ended up getting second. I didn't even realize it was her. Her user ID was Pocket Eights or something like that. But
Pocket
she's
eight, I think. Yeah.
Pocket Eights. Yeah,
Pocket
something like
eights.
that.
Yeah.
Anyways, um, I played with her at MSPT Riverside last weekend or the weekend before, whatever, however long ago it was, and she is a tough opponent. So it was cool. I was surprised to see her in the game with us. She came and joined in, and then got second place. So congrats to her for that. Congrats to you for cashing finally. You still need to get that W under your belt, though.
Yeah, I think it's my third cash out of those at
Yeah, it's
least.
not
But
bad.
oh
Well,
no,
you're
fourth,
now tied
fourth.
with my third win, so
Yeah, I have four cashes. Sorry, I've two second places and then two fourths.
I
I
think
think.
I have 3 wins and zero and no cashes other than that.
Yeah, I'll still take your record, unfortunately.
Um, before we get started with the episode, I do want to say that if you're interested in joining in on our meetup game, um, it's every other Tuesday. So this was the 12th. Next time it's going to be on the, what is that?
26.
The 26th at 7:30 p.m. Central every other Tuesday. Make sure to join our meetup game. We'll put the password and stuff on socials and Discord. Get in there. This week was a record turnout and we wanted to keep growing. It was a lot of fun. So the ring games, we blasted off. I got dusted in a 300 big blind pot and busted my bankroll. Thankfully, I already had my entry into the tournament buy-ins.
Yeah. Oh, there was an incredible hand here where I just had the auto call. I had ace high on the river against
I
you
thought we weren't going to talk about this hand, Wes.
in a three bet pot where I c bet and then check called turn. It was queen 9 6 9 6 with three spades. I had
Yep.
ace jack with the jack of spades. I was small blind, you were button. You had flatted a raise pre-flop and I had three bet, you called, etc. And I just clicked the call any button.
And I clicked the all in
You
button.
went all in and I just called it
I
off.
knew you had call any clicked. Dude, he had ace high on a three flush, I think three straight 10 high board or something.
There's no straight, but yeah, there's three. Hey, I've
Wasn't it 8, 9, 10, three spades?
no, it was queen 9 6 9 6.
Oh, is that what it was? No, it
Yeah,
wasn't double paired, was it?
it was.
Maybe I'm mixing this up with another
Yeah,
hand.
you were
Another
jamming
hand
left,
I
right.
forgot. Who knows? We play so many of them. Who cares?
Yeah.
Um,
Anyways, Max revealed the 8 deuce offsuit. So
I've- I'm done. I can't do it anymore, man. You're just killing me. You always got the click or the call any on when I'm bluffing. Just
yeah,
have the soul red. So,
just
anyways, that was a really good time. I hope to see you guys in the next
value.
one.
I knew I was value betting the turn.
If you guys haven't signed up for Clubs Poker yet, please do use our affiliate link. That definitely helps support the podcast. We much appreciate that. There's no cost for signing up, but if you use up signing our link when you play tournaments, we get a little bit of that rake back, so it helps with us. Um, Secondly, make sure to join our Discord if you have not. We were in there. There's probably like eight to 10 of us in the Discord, all shooting the shit and having a good time while playing last night. It was special. It was a lot of fun. So that was enjoyable. There's probably more things to plug, but before we do, let's just go ahead and get into the goods today. Like Wes said, we have a brand new episode today, a new format. We've been asking our listeners over Discord to send us hands to review. So today's going to be a listener hand review session. We have 3 hands, all on video. So if you want to follow along video, this will be on YouTube. If not, you can follow along here. I'll try and keep it clear and concise for those that are just listening to the audio version. Wes, anything to say before we get into it?
No, I'm excited. This will be fun, and I think this will be something we'll do every so often.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. When we're feeling it, you know what I mean?
review a few listener hands, and I think it'll be a fun way to get people a little more involved and get a little free coaching type stuff out of it too.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you're looking to get one of your hands reviewed on the podcast, join our Discord. You can find links to that, on my pin, our pin tweet at at Suited Kings Pod. You can also just submit DM me anyway. If you just send us hands, we review them, and then we'll go ahead and choose a few to go ahead and review on the podcast. So if you're interested in having that happen, send us a hand. So let's get into it. Okay, so first hand here. This hand is actually sent in by Mr. Leo P. He was one of my picks for the Fall Poker Classic main.
Yeah.
Was he yours? No, he was mine, right?
No, he was yours because he didn't make the final table.
Yeah,
So.
that's right. Good needle, Wes. Good needle, Wes. So this is the Global Poker Open Eagle Cup. I think we've been talking about this over the last week, 2-3 weeks. The series just ended this last Sunday. Quick shout out to, again, Daniel Kennedy for winning player of the series, winning 2 trophies, 4 final tables. He got 10K and a trip to Vegas for that, so that's pretty sweet. Leo in this hand is eye dirty. He's in the big blind. His opponent, the villain, is under the gun. So the villain has 29 bigs, and our hero, Leo, in the big blind with 33 bigs. Let's go ahead and get it started here. So under the gun opens on 29 bigs to two bigs. It folds to Leo in the big blind with pocket nines. Now, Wes, let me ask you, is this a hand we want to be three betting to an under the gun open? Let's see, how many hands are we? We got one, two, three,
Eight
four.
eight
We're
handed.
we're eight-handed here. Um, Personally, I like just flatting here with nines. We kind of discussed this in pot. I don't hate a three bet, but I think I'm going to be flatting more than three betting here. What do you think?
Yeah, well, so first thing I'll say is if I'm three betting, it's all in for
Oh,
sure.
yeah, just stuff in the 33 bigs.
Yeah, but I think facing under the gun, I probably prefer calling. Where if I think at pocket tens, definitely we could jam a little, and then
You're not getting called by pocket eights, probably. I mean, maybe occasionally on this site. I also want to mention this is a freeze out, so there's no more rebuys, or there's no rebuys at this point or anything like that, which kind of might, be a consideration.
yeah, and I think 30 big blinds against under the gun is a lot. Like if we're against the button or cutoff or something, they might call us with a sixes, sevens, eights.
Okay.
I think here I'm not going to three bet. I'm hardly three betting any hands, and the all ins are going to be like ace king off, pocket tens, maybe.
We've actually talked about this in past episodes about three betting from the big blind and in our range, and I know it's pretty tight. So
Yeah, yeah, and then I'll three bet to like seven big blinds with aces, kings, queens, maybe
and
jacks,
then some bluff
ace king
ace
suited,
x suited says a bluff.
maybe yeah, most not even really
You're
like
not. I mean, I'd
maybe
say that I'm not either, but those are what we're supposed to be balancing it with, right?
um if I pulled up the charts, I would guess not.
Okay.
I'm actually yeah, like I could take a look at it right now, but I think for
Anyone got
the
time for that? Screw that chart. Let's just go
yeah,
ahead and
well
see what we think.
yeah, I'll pull it up here. We
If you
can
can do it while we talk, then go ahead.
yeah.
So I think we
Really,
both
yeah,
just
it's gonna be like some offsuit ace X, really.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, offsuit. Okay. As the
And
bluff you're
it's
saying.
yeah, but we're still supposed to mostly just call with those two.
Okay.
So
All right. So anyways, our heroes in the big blind with 33 big blinds effective. Actually 29 big blinds effective,
yeah.
excuse me, because the under the gun has less. So we have pocket nines. We opt to just call here. The flop comes 3-3-6 rainbow. So our the hero has an overpair. I think are we ever actually is this a good flop to maybe just do a small lead on?
My instinct is to check
I mean, that
because
mine as well.
there's not gonna be like there's not gonna be any sort of straights. We're not gonna really have in terms of like the nut advantage, I guess we'll have threes. Where under the gun won't have
And even if
threes,
we had
but
a three, I think for me personally, I would be checking here a lot with a check raise. I just feeling that's going to be the way to get the most money in the middle if we did have a three. So yeah, I think checking is going to be my
I
100% play here.
agree. And we can, we can check raise some like gut shots or backdoor stuff as a
Yeah.
bluff if we
Maybe
want
like
to.
5-7, you could check raise. 4-5, I might just land on a call being open ended. I'd rather check raise my gutters and not my open enders because I don't mind folding my gutters. I don't want to fold my open enders if he jams on me, right?
Right.
So that
Um
so that's a thought with those type of hands. But anyways, we have an overpair here. We check, and the under the gun opponent checks back. So
yeah, and that's actually interesting because I feel like there this is a board that he should kind of always see bet,
okay,
I would think.
okay.
Um
I mean,
and
could he be checking back aces and kings here?
he could be. I guess from his perspective, it's like I don't really see if he's looking to induce a bluff on the turn, he could also induce it by betting small on the flop.
Yeah,
And
like
use
1.2 bigs or something. Just one
yeah,
big, maybe even.
yeah, and this board's so dry that in general you just want to bet small with everything. But
Okay.
now that he checks back, what do we think he has? It's going to be a lot of ace high and maybe king queen type stuff, I would imagine.
That's what I'm thinking as well. Yeah, I'm kind of on page that I think our opponent here, under the gun, the villain is going to be just having a lot of ace king, ace queen X. I would
Mhm.
have liked to see a C bet from those hands, just real small.
Yep.
So,
So
anyways,
out of curiosity, if
yeah,
if we face a C bet, are you check raising with the nines?
I don't think so. For the same reason, I'm not three betting pre-flop.
Okay.
I guess I'm more likely to check raise with the nines here than I am to three bet pre-flop. Just
Mhm.
because at this point there's two, I'm not afraid to get it in, I guess, at this point.
Right. Yeah, I'm kind of in the let's check raise boat. If we face a C bet on the flop, like we're still going to be up against two overcards a lot, where we can either get a float out of them or they might fold.
So if for
Um,
value and equity denial is why we would check raise the nines, you thinking?
yeah, yeah, and we're not like pocket nines is strong enough where we're beating some value right
Yeah.
now, so we're not even
Pocket
like,
eight, sevens, things like
yeah,
that.
and we're not like, this isn't, for example, this turn card, if he bets big here, we're not getting away. Like we're gonna call down with nines on at least a reasonable amount of runouts.
Yep.
So I'm not trying to like preserve my stack unless this is like very close to the money or something we don't know. But from the size of the blinds, I'm gonna guess it's not, and
Yeah,
therefore I'm just
I don't think this is near the money. I mean, looking at the stacks here.
mhm.
Okay. So just a reminder for the listeners here who aren't watching, the flop was 336 rainbow. The turn and when check check, the turn is the two of diamonds. So it brings in a backdoor flush draw plus 4-5 gets there.
Mhm.
4-5 would be a straight, which big blind could have. Now, our hero in the big blind with pocket nines elects to lead here. I think after going check check in the flop, that seems pretty standard to now start trying to get value with our pocket nines. Into 5.3 big blinds in the pot. What are you going to bet here with pocket nines?
I might go something like, I'm trying to decide between small and big. Like I might go two-thirds to three-quarters is kind of my instinct.
I think I would at this point, yeah, I think I would like two thirds, like three. I'd like three and a half or something like that.
Sure.
Um, so our opponent bets 3.3 into 5.3.
Yeah, that seems pretty solid.
Pretty solid. Okay. Now under the gun calls. What do
Yeah,
we
so
what are we thinking they have now? You think they're just, I mean, because they check back, are they still just calling ace highs here, you think? Do you think, I mean, do we remove over pairs from their range at this point?
I mean, maybe once in a blue moon they'll do this with pocket aces.
Yeah.
I would imagine there's a lot more just ace highs. And at this point, like when the diamond comes on the river, it's kind of interesting. Like he could have ace jack, obviously, and he could have, ace x of diamonds. We can on this river, I'm definitely expecting to be ahead a decent amount still, but um in terms of like how we want to play it going forward,
Would you
like
bet here again after getting called on the turn?
I would probably not, just because I think we're going to be up against either ace high or a jack or a flush,
Okay,
and
so
I'm
we're
not.
probably not getting called by ace high and we're
Yeah, or
losing to
maybe
the other
it could
two.
be ace deuce suited or something, but
That's true. You can get some value from that.
yeah, but I don't know if we can, because now that the diamond comes in, like the main type of bluff, and we can still have bluffs here, but one of the main bluffs, which is the diamonds, that just got there for
That
us.
just
And
got
so
there.
it's going to be for him, like ace deuce is not going to be much stronger than like ace queen.
Okay. 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 So our again now the board is 336. The turn is a deuce of diamonds, bringing a backdoor flush draw. The river is a jack of diamonds. So now the backdoor flush got there, and now there's an potential over pair to our nines. Um, we kind of you thought that maybe betting the river, you probably just check and maybe bluff catch the river. Does that seem like the play for you?
Maybe, I mean, even bluff catching is kind of it's tough to do
Because
here
he
because
shouldn't be
like
bluffing the ace
yeah,
highs at this point.
if he just called the turn with ace high, like let's say ace five of hearts or something,
Yep.
when we check here, he has some showdown value, and so he's now maybe he should bluff like theoretically, but I don't think. And to be clear, I don't know that he even should theoretically. Like I
Okay.
don't know. Maybe king queen with a diamond is what he's supposed to bluff with theoretically, but I don't
Are we
really
talking
know.
the big? Are you talking the hero or the villain here?
The villain.
Okay.
Um, I think for the hero we have more obvious bluffs. Like we can still just have 5-7 offsuit,
Yep.
you know.
Yep. Yep.
Um, but for the villain under the gun here, I just think people when they call with ace high and get this river, a lot of people will just check back their ace high on the river, and I don't even think that's wrong to do. So as weird as it seems, like we went from value betting, I might just check fold this on the river.
Check fold. Okay. Well,
Yeah,
let's get into the action. So when
yeah,
check flop, then the hero leads 3.3 into 5.6 or whatever on the
yeah. I
or
think it was
5.3.
5.3. Yep.
5.3 on the turn, and then villain calls, and now the river's the jack of diamonds. Our hero elects to bet, and he goes over just a little. What was this? 55-60%. He bets 6.2 into 11.9,
Yeah, so just over half it looks like.
just over half. So he bet 6.2, leaving 21 behind, and under the gun jams for 23 and a half bigs. What do we do with pocket nines at this point?
Yeah,
What
I
does
think
what does under the gun have here? What bluffs does he have? What value does he have?
yeah, good question. Value is ace
Ace
X of diamonds.
Ace X of diamonds. Does Ace Jack jam here?
I do not think ace jack should jam
Ace
here.
Jack should probably just call. I agree with that. I think
Yeah,
uh, Ace X of diamonds should jam.
yeah.
Um,
Maybe and maybe he trapped on the flop with just pocket sixes. I think
okay,
that's
yeah,
like
that's possible as well. Now let me ask you: if we were trapping on the flop with aces, are we jamming this river?
yeah,
Probably not. It's probably the same
yeah.
thing as
Same
Ace
thing
Jack,
as
right?
ace jack. I would
Yeah,
think.
that's what I'm thinking as well. So this is interesting. Our hero goes into the tank clearly for quite some time. You can't tell on this because this is the replayer. Um, what are we doing with the nines?
My instinct is to fold.
Okay. All right.
Um,
Um,
now I will say like the fact that we're facing a jam sort of rules out that we're up against a jack or an overpair.
yep. But we
And
kind of
so,
removed overpairs already.
y- yeah, for the most part, we have a diamond, which is, I mean, we block ace nine of diamonds, but like, if here's what I would say is like my instinct is going to be to fold against most players. But if we have an opponent who, just because most people don't really
This,
raise the river as a jam, but like if this is an opponent who we know is going to be doing this frequently, like at a reasonable
yeah,
frequency,
yeah.
you could have ace king, ace queen, ace 10 with one diamond and just decide to,
Send it here.
yeah, to send it
I
in. But
so it's really interesting. And okay, I have a big plot twist for you. You ready?
yeah, let's hear what you got to say.
Uh Leo sent me a message with this hand,
Hmm.
and coincidentally, Wes, I'm the opponent.
You are the opponent.
I'm the opponent, bro. I'm the
Wow.
under the gun opener. So I know. No, by the way, listeners, Wes had no idea.
No,
He's not
I
seen
had
these
no
hands, so he's
idea.
coming in blind.
This
I'm
is
the
pretty
guy who
cool.
jammed here, and he knows. So one thing I will say is that at the time of playing this hand, he knew who I was. I didn't know that this was him.
Okay.
Um,
Oh my God.
uh, I jam, and one thing I want to mention here is that I don't think I mean, you just don't, this is one of those spots where you don't see people bluff much. You know what I mean?
No, and that's exactly what I said, but now I'm excited to hear. And I think like this also, before I we get into what you had. This is cool. We actually get to find out.
You do get to find out what I had, as I'm the villain in this hand. I wanted to not tell you until the end of the hand, as it created a little bit more. It was just a little more
Definitely.
entertaining. So
Well, well, let me ask you here, like if you had, I think you for sure would have bet pocket sevens or eights on this flop, right?
yep, yep.
Um, and so it's like
You're
like sort
100%
of
right.
your more vulnerable value hands, like ace six suited, you're probably betting. And so I think like betting half pot for him on this river, he's not. Am I right in saying he's not going to get called by worse very often?
I don't think he is. I don't think he is. And also, my thought here as the villain, and this will kind of tell you where I'm at if I'm bluffing or
Oh,
have
I
value
hope it
here.
was a bluff.
But I took it to the streets a little bit here, and I thought I literally I I felt like my opponent was value betting one pair here with the sizing.
It is interesting where, yeah, it's like this sizing is sort of,
Like if he had 4 or 5 here, I don't know. I just think it would be bigger. Maybe
that's
I'm wrong.
interesting that you read into that. Yeah. Like the, I think a flush would be,
I also think a flush would bet bigger here.
yeah.
So, anyways,
It,
you know,
it,
I might
yeah.
be
And it,
so. Two
I
things I
think
want to
the
say
other
about
thing
this.
too is it
Go ahead.
feels like a bluff would be, this is sort of a medium. It's not like a block sizing and it's not like a polarized sizing either.
Right. It's an interesting hand. One thing I will say is that I agree with you. I messed up. I think I should have bet really small on this flop instead of
Okay.
checking back. Um, Secondly, I honestly thought my opponent was. I thought this was kind of like a slash value slash blocker bet with like a six, just a six,
Okay.
or a pair under jacks, like tens, nines, because I think a lot of those hands are flatting pre tens, nines, eights, sevens. So so I think I saw it as like a one pair value bet essentially.
Yeah. So do you have ace 10 with the ace of diamonds?
Dude, you're a good fucking poker player, bro. I did have ace 10. I did not have the ace of diamonds. I had the 10 of diamonds.
Okay.
So I turned it into a bluff and he called.
He called. Wow.
He
Okay.
called. So I had ace of spades, 10 of diamonds, and turned the river into a bluff and he called. Congrats, Leo. Well done. I know it's by the way, this was the Eagle main. This was the 200K guarantee Eagle
Oh
main.
man.
I know. He
Yeah.
just owned my
Let's
soul.
yeah, let's talk about so I think
I went to the
so
streets a little bit here.
yeah. So going back to if he knows so he knows that you are his opponent.
He does. And I
So
did not know that he was Leo. And I would not have played it as such if I knew it was Leo, because Leo is someone obviously have a lot of respect for his game. I mean, I chose him to win the FPC main, right?
yeah. That's okay. So yeah, the one thing now if we get down to like the math and logic of it, it's like if he thinks you have ace high, or let's say if he thinks you have ace high on the turn, that means you will have like one, two, three, four, five, six, seven combos of flushes because he has. It means you don't have ace six of diamonds because you would have had a pair on the flop, and he has the nine of diamonds. So there are, I believe, seven more combos of flushes, and then it's like if you are going to raise as a bluff with ace king, ace queen, ace 10 with one diamond, like that's a lot more combos.
Yep.
Obviously, you're not going to do it 100% of the time, but I think if he comes to the conclusion that your only value hands are like the nut flush and maybe king queen of diamonds, um and you will bluff like this when you have a diamond in your hand, I think it's a good call in that case. I think a
He
lot of
and shout out to him. He kind of explained his thought a little bit during it, and you're pretty aligned with it. Yeah, he read into it well, and he made a good value. But I mean, it's almost I don't want to say it is an induced bet because it was
he
a value
kind
bet,
of
but it
yeah,
was an induced bet. Because I mean, he got the jam out of me, and then he called, right. So
yeah. I will say, like, if he's leaning towards calling a jam, I like the value bet more.
okay,
Yeah, because then obviously he got like more than what I would consider max value out of it. but
So, I mean, to say the least, but shout out to Leo. Thank you for not being shy and sending me this hand. I had no idea. He sent it to me later that night. So I was like, "Oh my
oh
God, that was you." Because I was thinking about this hand for a while afterwards. Before I even knew it was Leo, I was like, man, he made a really good call. It's like I thought I was gonna get the hand. I honestly thought I was gonna get those hands to fold.
yeah, yeah. I mean, well done. I
Yeah.
think well thought out, and
What do you think
it's
about? Yeah. Okay. My hand, as played, flop, c bet. Maybe that one thing I could have done different is c bet
yeah.
flop.
I would see bet flat if you're gonna check back though. That the unconnected ace highs kind of make the most sense to check back, and then yeah, I think on the turn it's like he's gonna have enough hands that are just air where I would call.
Float. Yeah.
The river, it all makes sense. Like I certainly don't hate your play on the river. The
Okay.
thing that sucks though, when you bluff, it's like he actually had one of the hands you were targeting and he
Yeah.
still called.
And
So
he's
it's
still
like,
called. Right. And that's
yeah,
why I said if I knew it was Leo, I wouldn't have ran the hand the way I did.
yeah.
I think against a lot of opponents on here, I would get that through. So Leo's an outstanding poker player, and what a what a hand, man. That's sick. So I wanted to share that with you. I thought it'd be entertaining, especially to know it was against me. So um, Leo, well done. You own my soul. Uh, you ready for the next hand?
Yeah, let's see it.
All right, let's get rid of this one. All right, so next hand. This is from the Global Poker Eagle Cup Player of the Series, Francis Xavier, one of our listeners, Daniel Kennedy. He sent this hand to us. This one, all right. Well, let's just get into it because
Let's
I
get
don't,
into it. I'm
I don't
excited.
even know, I don't even know what to say yet. So, this is a six-handed tournament. It's the high, the $30,000 or 30K guaranteed, 2 times chance, six max tournament. Our hero is in the big blind with 27.84 big blinds and Jack of Hearts, eight of spades. So it folds all the way to the small blind who has 29 and a half big blinds. So he has this just slightly covered and he limps. What are we
Mhm.
doing with Jack of Hearts, eight of spades? I feel like there's one answer here.
Yeah, just check.
Check
It's
back. Yeah.
yeah, it's not strong enough for value and it's not weak enough where
To
we
bluff. Yeah, let's see a
want to
flop in
bluff.
position with this hand and reassess from there. So we're on the same page there. He checks back, so he's on the page as well. The flop is two of clubs, king of diamonds, king of hearts. We have jack high here. Opponent bets almost potty bets two bigs into 2.6 bigs. Um, with the jack of hearts, eight of spades. Here's the thing. Tell me what you think, but my thought is that I'm gonna just be. We can sometimes just have the best hand here and float.
Mhm.
However, with Jack High, that is. However, when he bets two into 2.6, I'm more incentivized to fold. Whereas if you were to bet one, I'd probably be floating more. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, mm, I I kind of have the same thoughts, although I think like most of the time this two big blind bet is not going to be a king. To be fair, like obviously a one big blind bet is mostly not going to be a king as well.
Yep,
Um, I agree that Jack High is going to be good sometimes. I don't mind floating here and just like trying to get to showdown.
with Jack High. Yeah, yeah. I
Yeah,
mean, our
like our
opponent can literally just be betting with
we can
literally.
have all like the 7 6 5 high type stuff.
Yeah, all of it.
Um,
So, yep, as a Limprey, I agree. So, our opponent, or excuse me, our hero, Francis Xavier, does float with the Jack of Hearts, eight of spades on the King, King Deuce. So, at this point, I would say we're taking it to the streets, right? Nick Schulman says we're taking it to the streets. The turn brings another two. So, the board is double paired, two King, King, Deuce. Uh, Villain in the small blind has 26 and a half bigs. We have 24 and a half bigs, essentially. And a small blind opts to check this time. What are we doing now with Jack of Hearts, eight of spades? My thought, again, I'll hear your thought, but my thought is that at this point, we just try and get the showdown with Jack High.
yeah, 100%. Our
No need to bluff
opponent
this hand.
is doing one of two things here. They're either giving up or they have a full house and they're trapping. And obviously, if they have a full house, we don't want to bet. And if they're giving up, we're ahead most of the time with just Jack High. And even
Yeah.
though it seems, it might seem like we want to take it down now, but like we are
If we're ahead, our opponent has 6 outs.
Right.
So
And I suppose he has some chop outs too, but like
and sometimes not even 6 outs if he had, for example, Jack 5 or 8 9 or something like that.
exactly. And let's say, well, Jack 5 we're like chopping with, but
Yeah. Oh, true.
um
Yeah. Or sorry, I should say like all the 8 9s, 8 10s, seven
r-
eights.
exactly, yeah. And so the other thing too is like let's say he has ace high and decided to bet the flop. He's not going to fold on this turn. Like, is he even going to fold queen high? Who knows? But
Right. Yeah.
um, this is the perfect example of a hand that we're either ahead or like when we're behind, we're not getting a fold. And when we're ahead, we're not going to get value from worse. So
Yeah.
I'm definitely checking back.
I agree. I think I'm landing on check back. Well, Daniel throws a loop or a wrench in it here and he
All right.
bets 3 bigs into 6.6. So like 45, 40%, something like that. I'm going to sneeze. Excuse me.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Now, man, this hand is just wild. So we bet 3 into 6.6 on deuce, king, king, deuce with jack 8. And the small blind now check raises to 8 bigs. Um, with jack of hearts, 8 of spades here. I mean, we've already taken it to the streets. Are we going to the alleyways now or are we just folding?
I'm folding. I mean,
Yeah.
we are we have this is just amazing right here. I'm folding 100%. Like I don't know. I guess here's the thing. Here's the argument for not folding is like if our opponent has a full house, like he's not going to raise a deuce here because we
Nope.
still could have a king.
Yep. So
Uh,
if he'd be raising a king but he
and
wants to get the most. So he has a king or nothing, essentially, is what he's saying.
yeah, he does have a king or nothing. And so is he going to raise a king here or is he going to call and try and allow us to bluff more? Like I think a lot of people would just call, but also like how often are we facing a check raise with air too? Um,
Yeah.
if if Daniel thinks something about this opponent, like if he's just value betting, if he truly is just value betting jack high here to try and induce something, then that's just
Legendary.
yeah, that's a
Well,
hell of
I
an
don't think
exploit.
that's the case with because of the river action, so we'll get to that. Um,
Yeah.
I will say that there is some important things that we do not know that Daniel knows, and that's his history with this opponent. We have no idea what this opponent's been doing prior to this hand. I wouldn't say that necessarily justifies the action thus far, but but it might. I mean, it might. So
Yeah.
let's continue, and then we'll get through with our thoughts. So Daniel, excuse me, small blind checks. Daniel bets 3. Small blind now makes it 8. Um, you and me both would fold at this point, but Daniel has other plans as he flats. The pot is
Oh,
22.6
this is
bigs.
too good.
The pot is 22.6 bigs. Our opponent has 18 and a half, and we have 16 and a half. Small blind after check, small blind after check raising the turn now elects to check again.
Hmm.
At this point, do we just take? I mean, here's the thing. This is my thought.
Yeah.
Um, Jack high, if our opponent is bluffing, is good here.
No, it's a chop. We're playing the
Uh,
board now.
oh, you're right. The board, it's 2 king, king, deuce,
Yeah.
queen. The river was a queen. So now, yeah. So now we're chopping. Okay, you're right. I missed that. So, um, never mind. Ignore what I was going to say. Then I think do we? I mean, do we play this as a bluff and try and get the chop off? Well, yeah. What's his
Maybe
face?
like our if we have a conviction that our opponent was bluffing the turn, then we're actually just chopping now. So maybe we bet like nine I don't know. Maybe we bet to try and fold out the chops. Like
Yeah.
this is
Right.
already insanity. But you know what? Maybe Daniel just galaxy brained this whole hand. Like I don't know. He bet on the king deuce deuce board. He bet half pot on the turn and called a check raise. So he did that thinking he was good. Like it seems clear that he was betting to like fold, protect his equity slash once he got check raised, he knew his opponent wouldn't do that with
I wouldn't
a
necessarily
full house.
say that he thinks he's good here. I think that he could also think that he's behind, but have plans to bluff rivers, some rivers.
Yeah, but what do when you get check raised, like, what are you gonna get a fold from? Like, I
Yeah,
don't think ace high is gonna check raise the turn,
he shouldn't. He shouldn't. But you see some
Yeah.
wild things on here. Considering, I mean, this hand that we're looking at. Come on now.
Right. No, I honestly, I'm trying to put myself in his head here, and I think like when he faced that turn check raise, he thought that his hand was good a lot of the time, honestly.
Which is
And
pretty
now that
sick.
he gets to this river, if he thinks that,
He
now he's
realized
only chopping with those hands, so he needs to rep the king still to get them to fold.
I do like I like where his head's at on the river here as small blind checks, and he bets 9, so he bets just over half of his stack, 9
Yeah.
into 22, and small blind lands on fold, and Francis Xavier wins his hand with Jack high. Uh,
Yeah. Like I
well,
said, I
the
feel like
playing he wins his hand playing the board is what I should say.
yeah. So that's what I'm saying. I feel like he just galaxy brained this one where he just
200 IQ. Man, if you guys ever want to take it to the streets, like watch this hand. Holy cow. I don't even know what to make of this hand.
yeah.
I
So
would let
Daniel, you played this thing so badly yet
immaculately.
so well at the same time. I don't know what to say.
I will say that if you're sending us hands, guys, fully prepare for either,
You
us to
might get
just give,
roasted.
yeah, you might get roasted. Like we're not gonna be soft on anybody. Like we're gonna give our honest opinions, and we hope you appreciate that and take it to heart to maybe improve your game. I hated this hand all the way through,
Oh,
but but
but, but it worked out perfect,
but it worked out for him. So, and there is one thing I've mentioned over and over on this podcast, and not that this should justify how this hand was played, but if you have conviction, you should go with it. I mean, honestly, like it's just
Yeah.
for me, when I have something like that in my gut that's deep is saying like play it this way, it doesn't happen all the time, and when it does, like I'll follow that, and it oftentimes works in my favor. So
Yeah. Actually, you know what? Here's what I'll say is, well, I have two thoughts. The first one is if we're following Daniel's logic in the hand here, I would say bet much smaller on the turn because if you're like convinced that you're ahead after the check raise, like I don't think you're getting a better hand to fold out on the turn usually. So if you're just betting to deny equity on the turn, don't bet half pot, bet like quarter pot or even one big blind. Like that's all you need. He's gonna react the same way with his like, zero showdown hands, right? Like you don't need to when you bet three big blinds, you are not accomplishing anything more, but you're just giving him more chips if he does have a full house or something.
yeah,
So if you're planning on taking this crazy line, like I think the one play that still doesn't make sense is the tiny or the half pot bet on the turn. Like Max and I would just check the turn because we're kind of in that
we have showdown
feeling
value.
range where we have a little showdown. We're not going to get better to fold or worse to call, really.
Yep. Yeah.
But if you do want to deny the equity, like bet, pot was 6.6 bigs, bet like 1.4 or 1.6. You can that way if you run into a big hand, you're losing less. The
Losing the
pot
minimum.
gets
Yep.
less bloated.
I like
As
that.
and the other thing I wanted to say is like if this was just a great read, which it seems like you had a good read on your opponent here, like also just be aware that this is, we've said before, like when you play exploitative poker, you're also opening yourself up to be exploited, which is, everyone is obviously. I'm not like you should keep doing that, but just be aware, like, you know, if people see this kind of showdown, they will start taking these aggressive lines with hand. Like if he had a king, now he's going to check raise knowing imagine how great it is for him to know that you're going to call with jack high when you check
Well,
raise.
in France's defense here, or Daniel's defense here,
Yeah.
they didn't get the showdown, right? So no one knew.
Totally, totally. And yeah, it's just like you have to when you if you get to showdown with a crazy sort of hand like this, like be aware that your opponents, the good ones, will make a note on you, and you'll have to like kind of keep track of that.
You do for sure, absolutely. Very important to
But
note, like if you're playing hands, especially like where you're taken to the streets such as this, and you do get to showdown, note who's at your table, and just kind of be aware that they probably have seen that and may try and exploit that. So,
yeah,
anyways, one thing I will say before we finish up on this hand is if I were to play this hand, this is how it would have gone. Small blind would have limped. I would have checked back. Okay, that matches what Daniel did. The flop comes deuce, king, king. Opponent bets 2 into 2.6. I would float with jack high here, knowing that we're ahead of ahead of a lot of hands that our opponent would be
mhm.
limping pre. The turn comes a deuce, so it would be call check. Now our opponent checked the turn. I would check back jack of hearts, eight of spades here for the same reason I called the flop. I have showdown value and I'm ahead a lot. Um, Now the queen of hearts turn, I can't tell you because of how the action went.
River,
Whether
right?
our river, I couldn't tell you whether or not our opponent would bet this after the check on the turn. I'd assume he might, and I'd probably just fold
Yeah, and if
because
he
we're
decides to,
chopping.
yeah,
Right. You could maybe then turn your hand into a bluff, whether it makes sense or not, right? So,
maybe it. Yeah, if you do it though, you're only trying to fold out chops because he'll probably call with
right,
eight.
that's literally the reason I'd be betting is to fold out a chop.
Yeah,
Or to
so
raising would be to fold out a chop. Otherwise, if he checked the river as well, I would check. Actually, hmm, I might check
yeah,
back and try and take the chop, or I might bet. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. That's a tough spot. I don't know what I would do on this
yeah.
river, but
I might just
anyways,
check back. Take, you're gonna split the pot a decent
and
amount,
that's
like
okay. Splitting a pot,
because think if you're trying to bluff them off a chop, you're only getting like your bluff only wins you half the pot in a sense because you were already gonna get half of it. You know what
Yep.
I mean?
Yeah.
So I would maybe just check down.
I like that. I'm
Yeah.
with it. So that's not what happened. Daniel, thank you for sharing this hand. A very interesting
we
one to
we
go
have
over.
two hands now where our the players got more than the max value. Like it's pretty crazy.
Ah, man, that was a crazy hand. Thanks for sharing, Dan. Okay, so we got one more hand here. This one is from our listener Alex Woodhull. This is in a global poker, the night freeze. It's a $2,000 guaranteed tournament. What is it? A 33 buy-in, Wes?
22. I've won this thing like a dozen times.
Good for you, buddy. Good for
I
you.
know.
All right,
Thank you.
$22 buy-in, 2K guaranteed. Alex is on the button here. Let's see how the action goes here. Okay, so Hero's on the button with 40.6 bigs with 5, 6 of hearts. Folds to hijack, who opens to 2.2 on 30, let's say 34 bigs. So we have him covered. Folds to us on the button with the 5, 6 of hearts. Wes, are we flatting the 5, 6 of hearts? Are we folding it? Are we three betting it? What are we doing here?
I I think flatting is fine. Like if we get a little shallower than this, I would fold. But I
I
think we're
yeah.
still just deep enough where flatting can make sense.
I think if I were sub 30, I'd probably fold this hand.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm in position. I don't plan. I mean, even if I was out of position, I wouldn't be three betting this hand. I don't think I'm three betting this hand, period. And then at the big blinds that we are at 40 and 33 or 34, I think flatting in position here is just fine.
I think it's fine too. Yeah.
So Alex then flats the 2.2, small blind folds, big blind folds. Now we get this ever so lovely three heart flop, the eight of hearts, nine of hearts, king of hearts. We flop a six high flush. So initial thought is bam, like we love this flop. Second thought is our hand can still be vulnerable in a sense. Not a lot because our opponent, there's not too many. Our opponent has to have another heart come out and then they have to have that higher heart than us, right? So our hands
Yeah.
still,
And if it's the seven of hearts, we get a straight flush. So
and
that's
if
one
it's the
less.
seven of hearts, yeah. So that does limit even more so the hands our opponent can have. Um, our opponent in the hijack elects to check and not c bet this. I think if regardless of what I have range betting here, I'd either bet really small or check back. Thoughts?
Yeah, I think so because he can have a lot of when he decides to check, there's going to be some hands that are like showdown type hands, and there's going to be some just give ups where it's like
Yeah.
he has ace jack of diamonds and he's like, he's kind of just going to fold no matter
And
what.
then very rarely he'll have the nuts.
Yeah, he could have the nuts, or he could have like ace X up with the ace of hearts where he's going to play it like the nuts and check raise. But
Yep.
yeah,
Okay.
I think I'm going to bet like a quarter or a third, and then look to size up on the turn if I get called, and if obviously if it's not a fourth heart on the turn. So yeah, I'm gonna bet like between 1.6 and 2.2 maybe.
And that's into 6.7 big blinds for those who are
Yeah,
just
into
listening.
6 point. This is one where I usually have the 30% as one of my
Preset
preset
bets.
sizing, so I
Yeah.
would probably just go with that.
I might even go a little bit smaller than that personally, but yeah, I mean that's nitpicking at this point. So,
Yeah.
um,
This is if I had 8 tables going, I'd click 30%. If I had one table going, I might go a little
dial
smaller.
it in a little bit more. I makes perfect sense. So, the opener in hijack does not see bet. He checks with the 5 6 of hearts. We have the flush here. We have our opponent covered. So essentially, we have 32. We're playing 32 bigs effective. What sizing are we going into 6.7 with a made flush here?
Uh 30% is what I would.
Oh, that's what you're saying. Okay, I thought.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah. Yes, I agree with you. So our opponent does go a little bit larger. He goes exactly half, so 50%. My again, Alex, for if you're listening to this, I would recommend going a little bit smaller here, just with range,
Mhm.
or checking back. Not checking back this hand specifically. I'm not checking this hand back. But with the flush here, I'm going to bet small in hopes that we can get an induction raise from our opponent. Either have him raise or just keep him in the pot with like king queen no hearts. Whatever plethora of hands he can have that are paired that we have pretty much drawing dead.
Yeah, yeah, and I think the reason we wanna go smaller is for this sizing, if he had, like let's say he had 10-9 suited, ace-9 suited, pocket 10s, jacks, queens without a heart, I think he's probably gonna fold to this sizing, but he would call smaller, and if we were bluffing, we would often get those hands to fold on the turn anyways. But it's not this isn't like a blunder, but I would characterize it as like a s- slight mistake, but it's still going to be good.
Yeah,
Like,
it's not terrible.
yeah,
Hero on the button bets half pot 3.35 into 6.7, and cutoff now flats. The pot is 13.39 big blinds, and we get a pretty dumb card on the turn. We get the ace of hearts. So now there's 4 hearts on board. We're reduced to a 6 high flush. Um, what are your thoughts here? I'm assuming that I don't remember here, but I'm assuming our opponent is first to act. I'm assuming he should be checking here and not leading pretty much ever.
he could decide to lead, but yeah, I think it's going to be normal for someone to check here.
Okay. He checks. Now, with the 6 high flush here, I think we have one option. There's not much we're getting value from at this point. We just
Mhm.
check this back and then maybe get one more street of value on the river if he checks again. And we might still just go check, check. We might just go,
Yeah, we might just want to go check. We definitely want to check here, and I think
we just want to get the showdown essentially at this
yeah, I
point.
think
We have a
this
good side.
one's too small to even go for value on the river.
I agree.
Um,
Alex did well here. I mean, he was on the right path. He ends up checking it back, right?
yeah,
Turn comes the river comes a 10 of diamonds. Um, it doesn't change really anything. And our opponent jams. So he bets 28 bigs into 13.39,
yeah. So he goes 2x pot
just
jam.
over
Like
2x pot jam.
this
I
is
think, yeah, we have one option here, I'm pretty sure.
yeah, this is always going to be a fold.
We unfortunately have to fold here. And Alex does such. So honestly, Alex, my thought is that you played it very well. I think you could have maybe Wes and I agreed you could maybe bet smaller on the flop, but that's just
Yeah,
nitpicking at this point.
I would give it like B plus A minus
Yeah, well
type of
played.
range
Yeah,
and
I
bet
agree with
smaller
that.
on the flop. But I mean, the main points of all this, let's go A minus. The main
Let,
points
let's
of
have a
this,
quick discussion, Wes.
yeah,
we flop a flush. This is something this discussion's
Yeah, yeah.
this discussion is for amateur players, people who get attached. They get attached to
Attached to the
pocket
hand. Yep.
kings. They get attached to when they flop a big hand and are could easily be beat. They get attached, right? You flop a set and the board runs out of four flush, but you're not folding because you flopped a set, right? This
Mhm.
this is for those people. Listen, you flopped a flush, but with the board running out as such and the action as such, let go of these hands. Alex did a good job. He flopped an incredibly strong hand, and you don't flop flushes very often. But the turn brought in a plethora of hands that now beats an opponent, and he two jam pots the river. We fold here, so it's kind of just allow yourself to flop big hands, and then also fold if the run out is such that I can't articulate this well, but I hope you understand what I'm
Yeah,
saying.
what you're saying is don't get attached to your hand, and I would also say don't be results oriented.
Mhm.
Um, because I think he sent in a comment. I think he actually said that he felt like he should have bet larger on the flop. Is that
That
right?
he did. He did do that. Yep.
And so I think this is a good good thing to acknowledge. I think the reason that you would feel like you should have bet bigger on the flop here is to get your opponent off of a heart.
Deny equity a little bit.
Yeah, but just remember, like, the reason we're betting is for value. And when our opponent calls with a heart, we have the 5 and 6 of hearts, and then the 7 of hearts would give us a straight flush. So our opponent can only hit the deuce, 3, 4, um, deuce, 3, 4, 10, jack, queen, and ace. So there's 7 hearts,
So that
right?
means our opponent would have around 14% equity.
Right. Yeah. Well, there are 2 cards that come, and
So 28% equity, right? We just double it. My brain, I'm having a case of the Monday.
roughly, but then he would have to have one of the hearts, so he would only have 6 outs.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So even
It's
less.
something like 24%, right?
Yeah. 12
25.
with two times, 12% equity two times.
Um, and so just remember, like, our goal is, and we're looking at all the hands our opponent can have. Like, we can't, if let's say our opponent has 2 queens with the queen of hearts, which actually, given the fact that he jammed the river, is like, it's reasonable to think he could have that hand.
Yep. And checking after, I mean, especially after checking the flop.
Yeah. If we knew our opponent had 2 queens with the queen of hearts, we would bet big, but we're trying to get called by
A
hands
lot of
like
other hands. Yeah.
2 queens without a heart, or maybe like king X without a heart.
Well
And
articulated. Yeah. Our goal is to not bet big to try and get those hands that have a little bit of equity to fold. We want to bet small because there's a lot of other hands we want to call as well.
yeah, and we don't control the turn card. Like, if this was the ace of diamonds, let's say, and our opponent had queens with the queen of hearts, then maybe we bet a size like 2/3 or 3/4, where we're not going to get called by like queens or jacks without a heart now, but we can still get called by the ones with a heart. And yeah, obviously when the heart comes, that's bad for us, but like, that is not going to happen most of the time. And by the way, there are going to be other times when maybe we have an ace 10 with the ace of hearts, and then a heart coming is good for us. All sorts of different things. So, like, don't get too wrapped up in the fact that the heart did come. It doesn't change what the overall strategy should be.
I like
So,
it. I like it.
yeah.
So that's the end of the third hand. Those were three fun hands. No boring ones there. So that was
Yeah.
exciting. We had kind of a little bit of everything. So um, again, thank you guys for sending in your hands. We'll be doing this every so often. So don't be afraid. And send us some hands, whether it's through DM or however you can get a hold of us. Send us the hands. We prefer them in a replayer view,
Yeah.
replayer formats, so we can do this. But if not, that's okay
But
as
if
well.
not, that's fine too. Like, if it's a live hand or something, we could pull up a visual and just kind of walk through the hand that way too.
Yeah, definitely
Um,
could do that. So regardless of how your hand is, send it in and don't be afraid to get some criticism or some, uh, whatever the opposite of that would be. Yeah, we love doing
praise.
this.
Yeah.
Yeah, some praise. There we go. Other than that, Wes, I think that's it for now. What do you got?
Yeah. That is it. I mean, that was a lot of fun. I think thank you to all three of you guys for sending in the hands.
We have in, I think next weekend is going to be the Cheap and Deep at Canterbury Park. Is that correct?
That is right. I am so like a week from this weekend.
A week from this weekend. Yep. So 2 weekends
Yeah.
from now.
I am actually going to be in Hollywood in Florida. There's like a $400 2 million
Oh, you're going
guarantee.
to that.
Yep.
Are you going by yourself?
I have a buddy who it's up. He
Don't
might
lie.
be
You
going to
don't have
Vegas.
friends, dude. Come on.
Okay, okay. Hey, you were at my birthday. You saw how many people showed up.
We're acquaintances,
Yeah,
affiliates.
I didn't even hire most of those people, I swear.
So good
no, so
luck there.
that'll be fun. You'll probably be in the cheap and deep. I'm guessing some of our
I'll be in the
listeners.
streets with all these Minnesota people playing the Cheap and Deep. It's a $300 buy-in. I don't even know if there's a guarantee. Maybe
No,
50K.
no, no. I feel like first place is usually 30 something thousand.
Yeah,
So
for
it,
three, they usually get like 800 plus entries. So I'm over
those are
multiple
always
flights.
good.
So those they do well. I'm definitely looking forward to that. But even further than that, or moreover, is that early December, you and I will be in Vegas for the WPT Prime Championship. So I'm looking forward about that. I got a special feeling. I don't know, man. Just got
That'll
something
be
down the
big.
gut that a deep run's coming. So hopefully we can hang on to that. Other than that, guys, appreciate you taking the time to check out our podcast today. If you have friends that are interested in getting better at poker, tournaments, cash, whatever it may be, we appreciate the referral, sending them to check out our podcast. We're trying to grow this thing, and we need your help doing that. So please take the time, share us with your friends. We appreciate that. Retweet our tweets, whatever it is, invite them to our Discord. We love teaching people and we love growing this. So let's keep that going. We got that meetup game 2 weeks from now, the 26th, I think Wes said, whatever that Tuesday is, 7:30 p.m.
Yep.
Central. Make sure to sign up for Clubs Poker using our affiliate link. Get in our Discord if you haven't already. That's going to be accessed through my pinned tweet on the Suited Kings Poker Pod, or you can just send me a message and I can send you a link to that. Lastly, I think it's time we start getting some damn merch made, Wes.
It is.
It
It's
is. Let's
been a
get some dope merch made. So we've been in the works of that for a long time. We got a bunch of design stuff like that, but we've just been kind of waiting because we don't want to put out any crap. You know what I mean? We want it to be good. So I think the time is coming soon for that. We don't have a date yet, but we'll put some effort into that. Lastly, Wes and I are developing a Patreon. It's a place you can go and submit, you can support the Suited Kings podcast with a small monthly subscription fee and get additional content where we'll be doing reviews that you're not going to see in the podcast. There'll be a lot of extra poker training content through our Patreon for a very, very small subscription fee. We haven't set that up yet, but that's going to be in the works in the next week or so here. We'll have more information coming on that. We always appreciate your listens and your support. So thank you guys for that. And until next time, we will see you guys next week.